still watching Biz This Morning right here on Channels Television. Now to commodities space. I guess rice is also a commodity. I'll see what Dumebi has to say about that. Dumebi Oluwole, senior analyst with financial derivatives company. Dumebi, I don't know if you heard part of our conversation with the special advisor at Greek, and we're talking about rice. At a time like this, we know that those staple food, they just come both for gift items and for consumption at this time. And we do hope or wish that we could have more supply so that the price will at least reduce a bit. But it seems import is still driving the FX factor, obviously, also speaking in there on the price. I mean, yeah, you're very right about that. So imported inflation is at around, I think it's crossed 20% now from about 15% about a year ago. So clearly what we're seeing is the exchange rate pass-through effect to commodity prices becoming more stark, especially with the currency devaluing or depreciating by over 50% year to date. So clearly what this is showing is the more we import, the higher prices are going to be, and this is the festive period. But already we know that during the festive period, prices increase because there's increased demand, and sometimes, when there's lower inventory, we see that, suppliers would sometimes tend to hurt, they take advantage of higher prices, but really that's not what's happening right now. Everybody's trying to sell because demand in itself is not as strong as it was, before the pandemic, and even compared to last year. So people's wallets are significantly squeezed and strained. So we're seeing that change in consumer behavior, that price resistance coming into play with commodity market space. So, but thankfully, some other commodities like tomatoes, pepper are also declining, but not so drastically. But then again, better than what we'd seen earlier in the year. So prices are down just because of the harvest season effect, and we expect that to continue at least up until the end of December. So because this is the peak of the harvest season for those commodities. Yeah, talking about purchasing power and all of that, maybe I don't know if you've experienced it over the weekend. I tried to use the POS and I see they've increased their charges, and I asked them why, and they said there's scarcity of cash, when they go to the bank to go and get that. Last week we also had one of the executives of the association, Amban, also saying that it is actually difficult for them to get cash from the banks, and it just brings back a scary picture of what we had last year. Are we going to go back to that cash crunch? I don't think we want to go there. Of course we don't want to get. I don't think anybody looks forward to it. It was really detrimental to the economy at the time. So clearly that fear and that panic buying. You think that's what's driving this? Seeming cash shortage at this time? So I would say you can think of it like a bank run, right? When panic just, sets in, and even when there's really no significant issue happening, we just see sell-offs and, panic buying. Already, it started off from the fact that we were supposed to stop using the old Naira notes. And now the Supreme Court has given them? Yes, but before then, that was already, before it gets to that point where the policy authorities come out to say, oh no, this is not the case, things were already happening behind the scenes. So in states like Kano, like Edo State, even some parts of Lagos as well, we're already seeing, people hoarding cash, going to the bank to withdraw as much cash as possible because of the expectation that, old Naira notes were no longer going to be in use. And then we saw some POS merchants and even some traders refusing to collect the old Naira notes simply because they thought that it was no longer going to be in use. So before the CBN and the federal government could salvage it, it was already beginning to brew in other local communities before and in other states. So by the time the CBN had come out, the CBN did release like 3 press releases just to douse that concern. But I mean, not everybody is like us that we actually check what the CBN is saying, and before that would even trickle down to the POS merchants and to the petty trader in a market in, you know, Abia State or something like that. So clearly we're already seeing that, you know,
I can't imagine us having, I mean, the same Christmas we had last year. It was really horrible. You couldn't buy, you know, a bottle of water. You had to do transfer, and then you now had issues with the platforms and stuff, and all of that. And it's really, I wonder what we can do. I guess all we can do is to keep talking about it.
Definitely.
So more people would hear and know we are running with the old and the new Naira notes, so there's no fear of shortage.
Exactly. And I think policy authorities as well, we need to do a lot more to sensitize and just put that awareness out there to tell people this is not the case. There's enough cash. There's no need to, you know, panic buy or hoard. Just go at his, you know, go with everything. Move seamlessly, you know, just so that that panic behavior does not, you know, spiral into what we saw in Q1 2023. And the most important thing really is the detrimental impact on the overall economy, because if businesses begin to suffer due to this, it will definitely have an impact on GDP growth.
All right, and then what else do we have? We're looking at the domestic scene. I know you've said that demand seems to have improved compared to the beginning of the year, and prices are tapering, obviously, because the demand is not as much as expected.
Yes. So we're seeing that interplay, right? And this is exactly what would say is, you know, supply and demand dynamics, you know, taking shape in Nigeria consumer market space. And right now, what we're seeing is, you know, consumers are, you know, split between the two ends of the spectrum. So it's either you have money to buy these things or you don't. So yes, and it's quite an unfortunate thing, but I mean, it's understanding the dynamics of Nigerian consumer market that has affected multinationals. We recently heard P&G, you know, exiting or stopping, you know, it's on the ground operations.
They're exiting. Maybe it's all in the language, I know, but I mean, the bottom line is they're not producing here, so we don't have those. I mean, importing most of they say they're changing their business model. It's not so good. But anyway, thank you so much, Dumebi Oluwole, for your time this morning, senior analyst with Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you.
Let's take a breather. We'll be back with more markets. Stay with us.